You've been in the industry for over 15 years. What is it that keeps you inspired and driven?
I think it's the opportunity to meet creative people in this industry, and it's also the ideas. I absolutely love ideas, coming up with ideas, being with people that want to explore new things. I couldn't do the same thing every day, and that's what I love about this industry.
What are you most proud of?
Well, I'm really proud that about a year and a half ago I started a new company. I was able to persuade a big production company like Shaftesbury to get on board. I approached 6 different companies, and they were the ones that said, "Yeah, we want to work with you." And I think we're really paving the way for new opportunities at Shift 2. So I love it.
What was that experience like when you said you were approaching 6 different companies? Was it draining, a little discouraging, or did you just have like all this energy and ambition?
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that some people aren't as fast. That's the thing. They took time to kind of deliberate whether the idea was good, going into branded scripted series. I mean, it's really something different. And I approached U.S. companies, I approached Canadian companies, and it was Christina Jennings that just went. She's a quick thinker. She realized the world is changing, and it is changing, and it's changing fast. So that's what excites me too.
How has the progression from television to online platforms increased the amount of content available to the younger generation, specifically those from Generation C?
Yeah. You know what I think it is? It's choice. They can make any decisions they want. If they don't like something, they can switch. I have two kids as well, and they look and they say ad blocking is on. That's a big concern now. So if they don't like anything, they don't like the ads that are being served, they don't like the content, they're gone. And I think that's made for television, which is used to kind of appointment viewing and being excited about a show, and you have to watch it at 7 o'clock on Friday night or whatever. I can watch it whenever I want, and so the content has to be good.
15 years ago, I was watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Yes. Today, girls are watching Carmilla. And when I was thinking about it, there are a lot of similarities between the two. There's the supernatural, the girls are basically around the same age, and then, of course, you have the friendship circles and the love interests. Do you think, or would you say, that the type of content people want to view is the same, but it's the viewing platforms that keep evolving?
I would say it's a little more niche, and that's what is the beauty right now, is that we can provide content for very specific audiences. Sabrina the Teenage Witch had to be much more broad because it was on television and appeal to a lot larger audience. So they couldn't get into subject matters or things that maybe aren't being covered, right? And yet with Carmilla, I mean, I was thinking about the emotion that we created with that show. Like, we have people that say that finally someone is speaking to me. It's not about, in this case, the LGBT community has latched onto the show, has discovered it. And it's not because we came out. There was no coming out. It just, they are. And I think that it created a sense of empowerment for this like a group that normally no one talks about or has content for. And I think it was that gave them empowerment, that gave them a reflection of who they are, and that's the difference between content now. We can go in and say, look, an underserviced market is now this particular group that's not getting content for them. I think you'll see the rise of female leads. 15 years ago, you didn't see a lot of drama with female leads. They were all male. And I think now we've just launched a new show called V. Morgan is Dead, the strong female character. And again, one of the comments I start seeing on it is, oh my gosh, it's not a white cast. It's not a fully white cast. It's got a really dynamic, different cast. And I think that's the opportunity we have with digital content.
Well, you totally just read my mind and went to my next question. So when I was talking to Natasha, who plays Carmilla, she said that it was lady power, which drew her to the series. How important is it to provide strong, empowering leads to female actors, especially those who are trying to make a name for themselves and who are emerging into the business?
Well, you can hear it in Hollywood. I mean, in Hollywood, women are still complaining they don't get director roles. Once they hit a certain age, I mean, there's been comedy skits on it, they're out as females. Men can continue to act. I think it's so important for women to see other women in those strong female roles. And if you look as well at our director, again, one of the big things that came out of Hollywood, no female directors. It's very rare you see female directors. Well, look, if you look again at V. Morgan, If you look at the other series, we have Mislabeled. Female directors are behind the camera directing. So I think that's another thing, that it's not just, and we're running a company too, both women. So I think we want to see that play a role out.
And it encourages people who are in school and who are studying and who can dream. Like, there's so many Be a Girl campaigns and all that. So
Yeah, I think we're going to see a change for sure.
this kind of dovetails with it as well. But Toronto has become very multicultural over the years, and the demographics in those cultures have changed a lot. What changes and additions have you made, or how are you approaching the young women that have come from other countries where it's been a male-dominating society?
Well, as I mentioned, I think if you look at some of our, like our most recent scripted series we're putting out, it is very much across the board a reflection of what Canada looks like, to be honest. And let's be honest, I think with YouTube, I mean, our platform that we're putting our content on is YouTube. YouTube is a global community. And when I look at if you look at Carmilla, that has been changed into 8 different languages. We didn't transcribe the content.
Really?
Fans did. They went in and they said, I'm Spanish. You can see it in Spanish, you can see it in French, you can see it in Russian, you can see it. So the fans have said, I love this show. I want other people in my country to be able to see it. So they are translating it. And I think that's the power now of our world. We are a global community.
Right.
And as marketers, we have to, and content creators, we have to stop thinking about Canada in a way. We have to think globally.
Globally and internationally. You were the executive producer for The Avenue, YouTube's first reality series. How has that affected what we see on YouTube today?
Well, I think it was also the first time we actually used a vlogger, a very popular vlogger in a series. And I think you're seeing more and more of that now. Smosh is doing a movie. I mean, I know Superwoman has a movie coming out. Right. So it is that opportunity to say the new kind of talent that's coming off of YouTube is even more popular now than Hollywood. I mean, I think the Teen Choice Award, 3 of the top people were all YouTubers. They're not, Hollywood actors. So I think that change and that opportunity for what we did with The Avenue really speaks volumes to this is a new talent that's coming up.
Right.
So,
what impact has, or I guess the popularity of Carmilla and other branded content changed your perception on branded content?
Well, I think that the idea, again, we're doing stuff that's really new. I mean, a scripted series, people have done branded content where it's one video or, they might do an article on things or a series of articles. But to have a whole series where you don't even have the brand involved is really unheard of. And it's kind of a new way to approach, reaching an audience. They're smart. Millennials don't need to have a logo smashed in their face. They get it. They understand. I mean, at the end of that Carmilla, we found out something like 79% of people knew that show was brought to you by Kotex. They didn't need the big. There was no logo in that at all.
Well, I remember watching it. It was very subtle but very clever, too, how they put it in. They'd have, like on the poster, it said Save the Undies on the bulletin board outside their dorm room, or T-shirts that said Save the Undies.
Saw that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was watching.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When you are researching for branded content, how do you gauge the difference between millennials thinking they want a product versus them actually going out and buying those products?
Well, you're right. I mean, there's a sales funnel that happens on the choice of what they're doing. So I always say you can't go on a first date and expect them to marry you.
Right.
So this is a longer process of getting to create a fan base. And from that fan base, then you start to introduce the branded content. And then what we want to do is funnel them down and understand you as a visitor who just wants to be entertained versus you as a consumer. And where do we touch you with certain content, provide you with content that's going to make you interested in buying the product. So we have to be sensitive to the fact that there's different people will be at different stages of the sales funnel, and what kind of content we give you will be different depending on that.
What kind of branded content would you have liked to see when you were a teenager?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I think around clothing, people bring together looks. I mean, really all we had was magazines, right, to
Yeah.
look at. And so the idea of seeing a show that you might like in those days, no one would have to say, oh, this outfit you could get at H&M or, Forever 21. There was none of
Yeah.
that. So I would have loved to have seen a show like Mislabeled that had a lot of fashion-inspired stuff that you can then go and go, okay, I know where to get that. So that would have been cool.
And finally, what quote do you live by?
Change is the only constant.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you talking to us, and enjoy the rest of the Next Media conference.
Thank you.